Oh my god, guys, it's happening, dude. The organic star, he's getting another shot, dude, as deserved, obviously. Like, we all know that this was going to happen. It's based off merit as well. It makes complete sense. All the sense in the world, right? He just got beat by Merab, but he landed that one front kick, though, you know what I mean? He landed that one front kick, dude. He had that moment, therefore, this fight makes all the sense in the world, because there's still that what if, right? You know, what if there was more time in that fight? You know what I mean? Dude, Merab would have been slept. Oh my god. Thank God we're getting this again. It's not like we know how this matchup goes down, right? It's not like we already know. It's not like we saw it for 25 minutes the first go around. It's not like we saw Sean freeze up and get babied, right? And his fans cope, right? No, we didn't see that. We didn't see his fans cope talking about close fight like the Umar fans did. And, like, realistically speaking, right, jokes aside, a fucking Umar rematch excites me more than this rematch because of the stylistic matchup between Umar and Merab. I don't give a fuck to see this fight again. Jokes aside, right? Who gives a fuck about this fight? If you do, that's cool. I guess let me know in the comment section why you're intrigued by this fight. But this is absolutely fit for April Fool's Day. And I thought this was going to be a joke. I thought, Merab versus Sean O'Malley. Just kidding. It's actually Merab versus Peter Yan. I was hoping for that, but we didn't get it, right? So this is absolutely fit for April Fool's. So respect to Dana for at least staying on theme, right, and sticking to it. Makes all the sense in the world for that particular day, right? But aside from this matchup, we also got an announcement. Oh my god, dude, Pena versus fucking Kayla Harrison. Oh my god, are we supposed to be excited about this? Are we really supposed to be excited about this?
Thanks for all your help.
After Kayla Harrison's performance against Caitlin Vieira, she's a jacked version, a juiced version of Ronda Rousey. She has no stand-up. And honestly, I see Pena winning this, weirdly. I think she has superior cardio to Kayla Harrison. If Kayla can't just ragdoll Pena, which she probably can, right? She's obviously going to be stronger than every other woman in any weight class, because look at her. She's obviously not natural, but it is what it is. Fuck, man. I don't even know what to say. Like, this fight doesn't excite me either. Yeah, sure, we have 2 title fights on 316. Oh my god, the UFC is blessing us with title fights. So nice of Dana to bestow upon us a stupid rematch and a matchup that, nobody really cares about. Does anyone care about Pena fighting at all? I would hope not, but at least this matchup is it's literally the only semi-exciting matchup that you can make, as boring as it actually is on paper. Yeah, I just simply don't care, but then I have to give the UFC and Dana some credit for this matchup at the very least. Machado Garry versus Prates for a fight night main event. I'll be there no matter what, right? And I think we all will as fight fans. That's an awesome fight. And I can see Ian Garry getting it done against Prates. I don't think by knockout, I don't think by submission, but maybe by submission in a 5-round fight. But I can see Ian Garry just playing this extremely safe, making this an extremely boring fight, and kind of putting a stop to the Prates hype train. I get that, Prates has been knocking out everybody, but you look at the guys he's been knocking out, it's not that exciting. Obviously, I think the Li Jingliang knockout is very impressive. I think the whole performance, Li Jingliang up to that point had been extremely durable, and I don't think had ever been knocked out before. It really never looked that chinny whatsoever, but Prates just put it on him, man, and he could not take Prates' shots. That knockout's a thing of beauty. The whole performance was a thing of beauty. But the way that Garry has, you could say evolved, I would say devolved as a fighter, just as far as his entertainment value. He was actually a pretty fun, sharp striker before, but he's really leaned on the grappling in recent performances, right? Like, he pretty much just skirted by a decision win against MVP because he held him for a few rounds, couldn't land anything. So I honestly do believe that Ian Garry doesn't have a whole lot on the feet for Prates, right? He's shown that in recent fights. It's backpedaling, it's leg kicks, it's jabs, it's step-in knees if he has the opportunity to, like he did against Jeff Neal. He doesn't really throw a whole lot of anything else, right? Ian Garry became super, super basic on the feet. I think he's regressed in that department, but his advantage on the ground, I know Prates, I believe, is a BJJ black belt, but Islam's taught us all that BJJ black belts are not all made the same, right? His BJJ black belt, we haven't really seen it come into play much in the UFC so far. And he has, as the kids like to say, a whole lot of aura coming into this fight, coming off of 10 straight knockouts in a row or some shit like that. He's been blessed with the fist of God. You know what I mean? He really has. He's been blessed with the fist of God. That left hand is a piston. And he seems just like have to land one. Like I don't know where he got this ability from, but the man just has that Alex Pereira type off button in that left hand. Is that just like a Brazilian thing, hereditary Brazilian trait where you're Brazilian, therefore you have just otherworldly power in that left hand? But yeah, I see this fight being relatively boring, and it's the most intriguing out of all these matchups. Who gives a shit to watch O'Malley fight? To go, fuck me, man. The fight that would have excited me between O'Malley and anybody. I don't know, maybe Corey Sandhagen, maybe put them up against each other, because they actually stack up against each other very well stylistically. They do. That would be a very fun fight, very technical as well. I think Sandhagen would beat O'Malley, so maybe that's why the UFC doesn't want to make it, because Sandhagen, similarly to Ian Garry, for example, has added many more wrinkles to his game recently, but regressed on the feet as a result of that, but mixes it up very well. So I think Sandhagen could still beat Sean O'Malley by decision. I don't know really how that fight would go down other than that. I think it's a relatively clear Corey Sandhagen decision, but then again, he could freeze up and O'Malley could piece him up at times, but Sandhagen is a hard guy to really get off on like that. So I'm not too sure how that would have gone, but who gives a shit, man? Who gives a shit? Once again, the UFC had a very, very good opportunity here to announce some good shit. He did mention, Dana White did mention Ilia Toporia's name and said that when he's ready that they'll announce the fight. I'm not too sure if that means when Ilia's ready. I don't know, man, because this would have been the opportunity. If there was a fight booked or there was a fight that's been agreed upon, then you feel like that would have been announced today, but it's when Ilia Topuria is ready. So I'm not too sure what's going on here, why we're being left on the hook like this. It really doesn't make any sense at all. Just give us the big fight announcements, because as it currently stands, the UFC is doing itself no favors, right? Dana's doing the UFC no favors with these announcements. No one gives a shit about these matchups. The Fight Night main event is the most exciting one, right? Who gives a shit about these two title fights? I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. Whoever ends up with the belt between Kayla Harrison and Pena, don't care. I'm sorry, I just don't really care. And I would like to see Merab continue holding the belt, and I think he will. I think my prediction remains almost identical to what it was going into their first fight. I expected Merab, if O'Malley's not able to catch him in the first 2 rounds, Merab would steamroll him for the remainder of that fight, and he did. I see the same thing happening once again. That's why I'm just not intrigued whatsoever, is because we saw how this matchup goes, and we simply just don't need to see it again. I don't get it. I know that Merab wanted this fight. He was kind of pushing for it in a way. I know he knew that it would bring the most money to him, which makes sense, I guess, from a business perspective. But all this means to me is that we pretty much have to get Petr Yan versus Umar, which is such a sick matchup. I know Yan fans out there are kind of afraid of this matchup for whatever reason, but for me, man, Umar is a tailor-made matchup for Petr Yan to put on yet another showcase. Maybe competitive for the first couple of rounds, but I think as this fight goes on, man, that pressure of Petr Yan, the fact that he can mix it up with the best of him, to a higher degree than anyone else can in the UFC, in my opinion. People think that Umar will have some crazy grappling advantage. It's just not the case here. I actually think that Petr Yan has shown a higher level and deeper tool bag, even in the grappling, right? His takedown setups, everything, to a much higher level than Umar. Umar may have a larger submission threat, but then again, Petr Yan's never been submitted in his life, in his entire career, and he's coming into his prime, and the advantage on the feet is something that you simply cannot ignore. Anyone who thinks that the difference between Umar and Petr Yan on the feet isn't a ridiculous gap, then I think you're delusional, right? After what you saw from Umar against Merab, you're convinced that he's as good on the feet or can match Petr on the feet, especially with the hands. No, man, Umar throws wildly. And yes, Merab did a similar thing to Petr Yan, right? That was a few years ago. Petr Yan, since then, especially against Figgy, people can't ignore it. I understand everyone always thinks that because he had a bad performance against Merab that he's somehow washed, even though he looked like the best fighter in the world against Figueiredo. And you can say Figueiredo's overrated all you want, whatever. I know there are people in the fuck Petr Yan camp who just like to say that Figueiredo's overrated, but not overrated one bit. Figueiredo is an all-time great and poses real danger to anyone he goes up against. He has shown very little chinks in his armor at 135 up to this point. It's just that Petr Yan put a stop to it and showed levels, and I think he would do the same thing to Umar. I really do think so. I don't think Umar is ready for that level, that jump up as far as skill. I do think that Petr Yan is the worst matchup in the UFC for him, But I think skill for skill, dude, we could get some amazing moments until Petr Yan eventually finishes him in the later rounds. But we could get some incredible moments. Grappling exchanges would be incredible. Striking exchanges would be fun. But Petr Yan would ultimately win most of them. But man, I hope that fight is made. I hope that this title fight, at the very least, the silver lining here is that we will get Petr Yan versus Umar, as much as Petr Yan deserves a title shot, like just outright, man. O'Malley has done nothing. The UFC and Dana White constantly trying to force Sean O'Malley down our throats as if we don't know exactly what's going on. Sean O'Malley has no star power. And this appears to me like a last-ditch effort from Dana and the UFC to establish Sean O'Malley as a star, right? This seems like a last-ditch effort here because I think he loses this fight. But if he goes and he wins, then, of course, the train can continue. Then you have that marketable star. Why is he marketable? I don't know, because he has fucking funny hair and he dresses funny. Oh, wow, and he wears the funny glasses. Oh, my God, dude, he's so cool. Like, what else about Sean O'Malley is there that's marketable? I don't actually understand the motivation behind foregoing any sort of merit here in favor of Sean O'Malley getting a rematch against Merab. Don't get it. Also, don't care. UFC 316 is shaping up to be a shitty card because you know the fact that there are 2 title fights. They can market it. Oh my God, 2 title fights. Fantastic. That means that we can just fill the rest of the card with absolute stinkers. And that's what I expect. Of course, I'm ready to be proven wrong on that as a fan, of course, who will watch this card regardless. I want the rest of the card to be stacked. So please, UFC, prove me wrong on that. Give us decent fights, but I would predict. Listen, my prediction is that on the remainder of the card, we get less than 4 ranked fighters. That's my current prediction. But like I said, I am ready and I am prepared, and I want to be wrong about that. Please, UFC, prove me wrong here. But that does conclude my thoughts on this announcement. Not nearly as hype, not nearly as exciting as the last announcement where Dana essentially announced like one of the best cards we've seen in a long time in UFC 312, which is coming up pretty soon. So definitely look forward to some breakdowns coming up regarding that card, right? It's a very exciting one. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.